Hi, guys. First and foremost, just wanted to take a quick minute and thank you everyone for just taking some time out of your night to come learn. Truly, truly appreciate it. So today's topic is not really going to be about the actual technical analysis or trading itself. It's actually going to be more about the psychology. So today we'll be talking about journaling and the importance of setting realistic goals. I will answer questions at the end, so please just try to hold off until then, please. Some of the stuff I'm about to say will really resonate with some of you guys, so please just pay attention. So first, if you don't review, measure, and make adjustments based on your trades you've taken at all times, every single day, every single week, you will not get better, period, right? Because you probably don't know why you were losing simply because you haven't spent enough time to take a step back and reflect. A lot of you guys in here probably take a lot of boredom trades or a lot of FOMO trades. But in reality, if you think about it, trading should take no more than 30% of your time. The rest should be allocated to everything else: the preparation, the patience, letting the trades come to you, not trading and chasing the trades. You don't want to chase the trades. You want to wait for the trades. It might take an hour, it might take 4 hours, it might take a day, it might take a week. Whenever your specific criteria setup happens, that's when you want to trade. You don't want to just trade because, oh, XYZ called it out, or I'm just bored. Okay, let me take a trade. No, no, no. We don't want to do that type of stuff here. So in every performance-based industry, it's 80% preparation and practicing, 20% performing. Pro athletes train all week to play only on the weekends. Ultimately, the performance part is where you quote unquote collect the check, but you can never get there without doing the 80% work in the background. Same aspect applies with reviewing your trades. At this point, all of you said to yourself is, I'm on a losing streak, right? That's the outcome. But what is causing you to lose? Knowing what it is, pinpointing the weakness, and then creating an action plan to fix it, that is what matters. And without doing the rest, you're just hoping that, hopefully the losses just go away and maybe I'll be profitable, right? That's your rationality. But in reality, if you are being intentional about your studying and your preparation and your reviewing, you shouldn't experience more than 2 losses on a really bad trading week. As long as your risk is capped on these days, there should be no issues whatsoever. So now I'm going to hurt someone's feelings here. Is this you? Do you overcommit to one idea and then unable to make the switch in a non-emotional manner? AKA, if you do make the switch, then it comes in a form of revenge trading, not because the environment has shifted. And then when you do make this, the switch, you start to react to things and ideas as opposed to anticipating, which leads to you always being a little late, right? You're second guessing yourself. The important aspect is to acknowledge is this is a weakness of yours at this point in time. Instead of sweeping it under the rug and then think about possibly, just kind of just, in a sense, just keeping it, sweeping under the rug, sweeping under the rug and sweeping under the rug and just expecting you're going to get better. What you should do instead is try to pinpoint it and be like, okay, what's going on? And maybe it could be a couple different easy fixes. It could just be like, okay, maybe if I just reduce some of the situations that I've been doing, maybe if I just trade smaller size, maybe if I don't trade this specific time frame, whatever the case may be, and then just try to make potential adjustments moving forward. Your trading plan should already have most of these aspects covered, or at least the core ideas. So for example, these are the things you kind of want to think about. If you are shorting a high of supply, how do you short it? Is it the first touch? Is it a retest? Is it XYZ? Is it ABC? Same thing goes for everything else. You should have a plan in mind before you enter any trade. You still want to have flexibility because every trade is dynamic, but you still want to have the core fundamentals of what is your game plan, right? If something happens, what's the result? You know, if A happens, this is going to be B. You know, like you want to have a specific game plan before entering a trade. This is where the prep work comes in handy. So magically thinking, oh, if I have a $25,000 account, I'd probably be profitable, right? That's your thinking. That's your rationality. Oh, if I had a $50,000 account, I'd be profitable too, like this guy. In reality, or they do something like this. Oh, this $25,000, I'd be profitable, but this $1,000 I'm account on is just not cutting it. It's because of this $1,000 account is why I'm not profitable, right? That's your rationalization and why you're taking losses. But in reality, this is the kicker. Capital is the last thing that matters. You don't need 30,000. You don't need 50,000. You don't need 1,000. You can be perfectly fine with $500. It's the last thing on your mind. You need to put these things in perspective. So let's say you had a profitable month, and that in itself is great. That's awesome, right? And you made adjustments that helped you get there, but they're in the background, there's 95 other things to focus on to be consistently profitable for not just a month, for a quarter, for 3 quarters, for a year, for years, right? At the end of the day, capital is just a tool in trading. It does not mean anything. You can have all of the bricks in the world, but if you don't know how to build something with them, they are useless. They'll go to waste. Same thing with your trading capital. Everyone's judging their progress on, was I green for the day? That's ridiculous. It's a very, very vague goal, and it's going to do you 0 favors in the long term. It's not going to get you anywhere. You're just going to disappoint yourself. Green or red is 100% irrelevant. You took the trade, you accepted the risk, and then you have to move on. The only question to ask yourself, did you follow your plan or not? If you did, and it's not working, where do you have to make the adjustment? If you didn't follow your plan, okay, that's already a red flag as it is. You got to take, some time to think about what's going on, right? So that's something you got to get out of your mind right now. Just because you're red for the day doesn't mean the end of the world. Just because you're green today doesn't mean you're going to be a profitable trader, right? Because sure, you can show me you're profitable for a day or a week or a month during a really bullish or really bearish time. But if you can't be profitable during the choppy days or the really volatile days, and you can't stay consistently profitable for more than a week, that's not impressing me. That shouldn't be impressing you either. You have to be consistently profitable, right? So now next point is it easier to say this when you're profitable? Of course. But when I wasn't profitable, that's the route I had to take to see these results. The only questions that matter that you need to ask yourself is, okay, what is the thing that's holding me back? What is the thing that's really slowing down my progress? Odds are there's probably 5 aspects, and you know what they are. You just aren't fixing them. You want to figure out what the most important one is at first. Then what you want to do is that one that you figure out, you want to give the most progress to. You want to just focus on that most. So what you want to do is you want to write down your action points for fixing it and identifying it. You want to give yourself you want to be very mindful of this and give yourself a period of time to fix it. It's not just say, oh, I'm going to fix it. No, you want to give yourself a deadline so you actually stay on top of it. Okay, say I want to give it 1 month. Say if I work on XYZ over the next month, I will be a better trader, which in result will give me a better P&L. Drop any P&L related thinking. You will only get the P&L you want and sustain it if you fix these problems that you're just, sweeping under the rug. Hence, these are the things that you want to focus on. You want to focus on the progress and the process, not the profits. The profits will come later after you fix your underlying issues. Let's say an issue is over trading, okay? How can I fix this? Instead of saying, oh, I'm over trading, let me just close my computer. I'll come back tomorrow and take 10 more trades. You're not fixing anything. You're sweeping under the rug. Instead, think about, okay, what is triggering me to overtrade? Is it XYZ? Is it ABC? What is the cause? This is why the important part of actually journaling your trades and reviewing your trades, because if you don't review your trades, how do you expect to get better, right? You're not going to magically get better, but it just by closing your computer after you take a loss and then coming back the next day acting like it didn't happen. You're not going to get better. I'm sorry to say. So you have to figure out action points to solving and spotting these issues, because usually there's multiple issues that you need to work on. So going back to the action plan, how do you get rid of this? You want to measure it. So let's say your goal is to reduce overtrading by 80% within this month. You want to be intentional about chipping away these trades slowly over the next 4 weeks in a way that is measurable. You want to write this down every single week. You want to be accountable with yourself. Okay. Week 1, let's say we reduce it by 20%. Week 2, let's do 20 more percent, and so on and so forth. That way, you will have a simple, measurable goal over the next 4 weeks. That's why you got to track it, measure it, split it up into small, realistic goals, and take action. And then after each week, you'll feel better about your trading. You'll feel more motivated to move forward with the process because you have achievable, small goals that you can complete. Let's say the worst case scenario, even if you don't get to your goal of reducing, say, overtrading by 80%. The odds are you still will reduce it by some extent, and that is still regardless because you at least did something instead of sweeping it under the rug. As you complete the overtrading aspect, you're working on it, maybe in the next 4 or 8 weeks, overtrading isn't your biggest issue anymore. Now, what is your next issue? Maybe it's your playbook. You don't understand what type of strategies you want to use. You have no idea. You're lost when it comes to that. And then maybe you want to start focusing on playbook. So over the next 4 weeks, same exact process. You want to make small, achievable goals. Each month and quarter, you'll have one main aspect that you want to be better at. You want to try to focus on that every single week. And you want to be intentional about it and writing your goals down. You don't want to just say, oh, I'm going to do this and not write it down because you're not going to be accountable with it. So then, let's say fast forward 6 months later. After doing all these improvements and working week after week after week, guess what happens? You have improved significantly. Sure, maybe the P&L isn't where you want it to be just yet, but you're a much, much better trader. And working on your trading goals and your fundamentals will ultimately help you becoming, more profitable than you are now, or just profitable in general. But if you don't set these action plans and are mindful about it, you will not get there. You just will not get there. Like, if you are not approaching your progress as a trader in this type of way, this is something you want to listen to. If you are not doing this, you are wasting your time. Period. I'll repeat it because it's very important. You are wasting your time if you keep sweeping your issues under the rug. I'm going to hurt someone's feelings here, but it's true. Because if you just keep jumping to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and you have no goal and no plan, you're just wasting your time. So I'll give you real life examples. One of the things I struggled with a lot in my early days was emotional connection with basically being profitable, right? So I had a goal of being profitable, and I felt like I couldn't really move forward in life before I got there. That's my goal. I have to be profitable. I have to be profitable. It's so detrimental to yourself, your emotions, your mental capital. It's inside and outside of trading. It's detrimental. It's a very lofty goal to have. And ultimately, that's your final target of trading. Not like, oh, I'm new to trading. In the first 2 weeks, I'm going to be profitable. I'm going to make $100,000. Like, no, you're delusional. Like, profitability is at the end of the steps, not right now. And if you have that type of thought process, basically thinking about the end results and only about the money, it is impossible to win. You will burn out. You will quit trading before you even make it. And it's very, very challenging approaching this type of, mindset. So instead, you need to have a system of, okay, how do I get to my final goal? How do I get from here to there? You have to be intentional. Focus on your small tasks, structure a plan of becoming the trader that you want to be. First of all, it's a process that will get you where you want to be much faster. And second of all, it's a much more compassionate way of doing things, because I believe that if most of the people completely change their approach and their mindset, when it comes to this type of process, you will succeed a lot quicker. You don't need your P&L to validate how good or bad you've performed, whether you've progressed or not as a trader, right? You got to get that out of your thinking. Because now all of a sudden you don't see making a mistake or a setback as something that is quote unquote bad. You don't project it in your mind as something negative, but rather actually a pointer somewhere to where you need to be in order to fix things to get to your final destination. And if you have a type of approach of like this and attacking it, you will get to your goal much, much faster. Just remember, all of this is 100% doable. If I can do it, why can't you? Right? If I can do it, why can't you? It's just a matter of very intentional what and how you do it, right? Because that's the type of approach that makes sense to me. You need to keep goal oriented. You don't want to just keep, sweeping things under the rug. Like say, you can't just be like, I want to be a profitable trader. Okay, good for you. You need to say, how do I become a profitable trader? Then you need to break it down piece by piece, work out an action plan for each specific aspect, and then focus on one of those aspects every 4 weeks. Be intentional about it. The next, do the same thing over and over and over. And then fast forward a couple months in. You keep doing that. You're chipping away. And look, your P&L is a lot better. Congrats. You put the work in, you reap the rewards. Right? So then you start focusing on things in the same exact mentality. But now that you're profitable, you focus on other things such as, okay, how do I make more money per day? How do I add more size? How do I do this? How do I, keep going? How do I maximize my profits? How am I efficient? But all of this has to be done in the correct order. You can't start at the end and expect everything to be handed at you. You got to build your fundamentals and your core building blocks before you even think about anything regarding profitability. And this is where it comes into profitability and preparation and journaling. Every time you catch yourself slacking on notes and reviewing your trades, you're only putting yourself in a subpar mindset. Thinking, I'm over trading and simply don't want to go through all my trades, or I don't want to remind myself of these mediocre trades. Unfortunately, learning and reviewing your trades and reviewing them, and basically what happens is you smack yourself in the face with reality, right? Because you're like, wow, I'm doing this. Like, wow, you're actually being accountable for yourself instead of turning your head against the issue. And this is why most people quit trading, unfortunately, because they just keep doing the same process over and over and over, and just becomes draining. And instead of fixing it, they just keep sweeping under the rug. So this is why it's important to constantly review and journal and just be honest with yourself. Growing as a trader forces you to be extraordinarily honest and accountable with yourself. And most people dislike what they see. It exposes them. It forces them to see the truth. And the truth is often very ugly. They don't want to come to the realization of, wow, I'm doing so poorly. After reviewing these trades the last 3 months, I am doing god awful, right? So then you might start going through your trades and your stats, and you even go further than that. You're like, wow, I just wasted 2 years of my life without making any progress. And you're trading like crap, and you're not reviewing any of your trades outside of the trading day. And many times when people come to this realization, they just quit because they don't want to deal with it. They just give in, hand in the towel. And that's not the way to do things. Because the moment you start journaling is when you stop sweeping the things under the rug. So you want to re-rationalize and rewire your thinking and approach it something like this. Okay, I've messed up a lot for a very long period of time. I've wasted my time. Let me review what I've done and let me figure out how I can start chipping away at this and fixing my underlying issues. That's it. You don't want to be self-deprecating. You don't want to be like, oh my God, I'm so awful. I'm so awful. Because if you do that, you talk negatively about yourself, guess what happens? You're literally going to just, your confidence regarding trading is going to deteriorate. You're not going to be confident anymore. You're just going to, and that could also stem into your real life. You could just be, unfortunately, you can maybe project onto your loved one. And that's a scary, real truth. If you have a really piss poor trading day, let's say you lose 50% of your account, you're going to take that on yourself and maybe subconsciously project that onto your loved ones. And they don't deserve that. They didn't click your buttons. They didn't open your trade. They didn't close your trade. So don't take that out on your loved ones. It's very, very important. It might seem silly, but it's very true. And that's something, if you feel like you're doing that, you need to just squash that in the butt right now, because that is not their fault. That is your fault. So you want to be mindful and be like, instead of huffy and puffy and be like, oh my God, I just took a really bad trade, I'm going to go, I don't know, be angry the rest of the day or be sad the rest of the day, whatever the case may be. Just be honest with yourself. Be like, okay, I took a pretty mediocre trade, but I'm not going to let this ruin my day. I'm going to allow myself to feel it for the next 15 minutes, the next hour. I'm going to be like, okay, I did this. This is how I feel. This is, the result, but then I'm going to let it go because that's in the past. As long as I review my trade and understand what I did wrong, then I know next time not to do that, or the exact same result can happen again. All right. So now in the next 2 slides, I wrote out a couple of different additional ideas to look at and be mindful of when reviewing your trade. So let's go over that real quick. So journaling, as we said multiple times, is your accountability. So a couple of different things like your attributes. You want to be mindful of why you are trading, right? Why did you enter? Why did you enter? That's basically rule 1. What the hell? What did you see? Right? Did you see any specific confirmation, or did you just trade out of boredom? Okay. What was the best thing about this trade? And did you stick to your trading plan or not? Did you trail and scale into the trade, or did you just buy everything at once? How would you have managed the trade if you took it again? Would you enter earlier? Would you enter later? Would you cut sooner? What's the case here? What can you improve on? There's always something you can improve on. You can't just be like, oh my God, I just got 100% winner. I'm a beast. Okay. There's going to be some sort of thing you could have done better. Be honest with yourself. Then rate your trade. Is it a 4? Was it terrible? Was it an 8? Was it decent? Be honest. Because if you see these really low scores, you got to fix that. You'd be like, okay, what did I do wrong here? And then you want to be mindful of that so you don't do that next time. And then, okay, what's the outcome? What was your profit and loss? That's an easy one. You already know that, right? And then this is very important. What was your terms of risk to reward? If you reviewed the trade and realized, wow, my risk to reward was like 1-to-1. This was, god awful risk to reward. This is crap. No offense, but that's crap. You don't even want to basically give any mind to 1-to-1 risk to reward trades. You ideally want 2-to-1 minimum, and the better you know, like the more the better. So like 3 to 1, 5 to 1, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And then how long did you hold the trade? Did you, uh, was it supposed to be a scalp in your mind and then you held it for 3 hours? Right? Or was it supposed to be a day trade and you held it for 30 seconds? You know, like how did you manage the trade? Okay. And then what was the time and your entry and exit? Because you want to know where your entry and exit was so you can pinpoint where you could possibly get a more efficient entry and a more efficient exit. Okay, so for the next slide, oops, okay. So for the next slide, trading metrics. This is another important thing is you want to understand what type of strategy that you like to trade and just stick with it, right? You only need 1 to 2 different strategies, right? That's basically it. You don't need to be looking for all these different type of setups, all these different type of strategies. Because if you can find your 1 or 2 that historically works really well for you, congrats. Just focus on that and just improve on that because that's all you need. You don't need 30 different strategies. You don't need this, this, and this, because if these 2 are working for you, then you just need to kind of chisel away at them and constantly improve. Next thing is, did the trade actually hit your target you had in mind, or did you get stopped out? And if you did get stopped out, why? Did you get faked out? Did you, were you emotional? Like what happened in a sense? You want to be kind of thinking about all these different things. And then also, here's another aspect to be mindful of is your actual emotions the entire before, during, and after the trade. So what do I mean by that? Okay. So let's pretend, I'll give you a good example and a bad example. Let's pretend market opens for me at 9:30. I'm rolling out of bed at 9:25. I did not chart anything. I did not eat. I barely am rested, all that type of stuff, right? You're not prepared, but you trade anyway because you're like, screw it, I'm going to trade. Guess what happens? 80% of the time, you're probably going to take a loss simply because you're not prepared. So that's something you want to be extraordinarily mindful of. It's like, okay, I'm waking up in the morning. How do I feel? Am I well rested? Did I eat something? Maybe did I meditate? Did I work out? Whatever the case may be, whatever your morning ritual is. And then pretty much, if you didn't do any of that type of stuff, if you're feeling like really, sluggish and you didn't sleep very well, there's a pretty fair chance that you're not going to perform pretty well for obvious reasons. So then you want to kind of just be mindful of that and be like, okay, well, I didn't really sleep very much. Maybe I got into an argument with my loved one. My head's not in it. So you want to just basically put yourself on the sidelines right then and there, because you just identified that you're not up to par. And why would you risk your money if you're clearly, and you even admitted to yourself that you're not up to par right now? So that's kind of right before you're trading, like right in the morning, see if you're up to par or not. If you're like, really sluggish and everything like that, just don't trade. Maybe come back in an hour, maybe come back towards the end of the trading day. Like, just because you missed the first 30 minutes doesn't mean you missed the entire trading day. Like me personally, I don't even become active until the 30 minutes after market opens, and I still find trades. So just because, I didn't, I'm not trading at 9:35, my day's over, I'm just, I'm going to quit here. Like, no, there's still plenty of opportunities. Okay. So that's before you even get into the trade. Just figure out how you're feeling. And then you want to do actually, you want to gauge your emotions right before and during your trade. So like, okay, you're about to click enter. How do you feel? Just, talk out loud, or maybe like think in your head or something like that. Am I feeling any type of emotions? Am I feeling greedy? Am I feeling like this is a FOMO trade? Like, why am I getting in this trade? And do I actually see multiple confirmations? Or am I just, oh my God, this stock just went up $6. I'm going to jump in. That's FOMO, right? This is why you want to be accountable and think about stuff before you just blindly enter a trade. Okay, let's say everything worked out, you're all these confirmations are checking your box. Okay, now I'm in the trade. Now you want to think about your thought process during the trade. Maybe talk it out loud, maybe just think to yourself in your head, be like, okay, how am I feeling? Am I feeling any type of emotions, anything at all, right? If I'm feeling greedy, why am I feeling greedy? Am I up a lot of money and I know that I probably should take profits in the back of my mind, but I'm not? There's something, ding, 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 probably should take profits if you're thinking about it, right? You're already up $100 in 60 seconds, probably should take some profits off the table, right? This is why you want to talk out loud and be honest, be like, okay, how am I feeling? Because if you're clearly feeling greedy, there's probably a reason why. Or maybe you're feeling fearful. Okay, why? Did you size up too much? Are you playing with a size you're not able to afford to lose? Okay, that's something we got to work on, because if you're feeling really like, insecure and really fearful during a trade, that's probably due because you're sizing in too heavy and you're uncomfortable. That's a simple fix. Just de-risk yourself and size in less. Okay. So then, okay, fast forward to after the trade. How do I feel? Do I feel good? Do I feel negative? How do I feel? Like, am I emotional? Am I angry? Am I sad? Why? Did I take a loss? Am I mad at myself for letting this trade cut early? Right? Am I just like, what is the issue? So this way you can be mindful of everything before, during, and after the trade. These are the things you want to journal, not just, oh, here's where I entered, here's where I exited. Nope. There's much, much more behind that. You want to figure out your emotions, because once you figure out your emotions, there's probably one that's really underlying that's causing you issues. Which is it? The sooner you figure it out, the sooner you will become profitable. Because if you're clearly, your issue is you're oversizing way too much and you're super like fearful and insecure about that, right? So like, okay, maybe I'm on like a $500 account, and you're sizing with your entire portfolio, right? You're sizing with the entire portfolio. You're like, okay, I'm on a $500 account. I'm gonna enter $500, and then you're basically sweating. You're like, holy shit! I hope this goes my way. I hope this goes my way. That is absolutely garbage risk mentality, and like something you need to fix immediately. Because if you don't do that type of stuff and you keep having that same really poor attitude, imagine what happens if, let's say, you end up getting a really good banger, right? And okay, next thing you know, you're on a $10,000 account and you end up doing the exact same mentality, risking everything per trade. And let's say you risk $10,000 for that specific trade and you refuse to cut, and you end up losing $10,000 because you refuse to cut. And that has happened many, many, many times. I've been trading for 3 years, and you'd be surprised the amount of messages that I receive on a weekly basis of people saying, hey man, I just blew up from 10,000 to $100,000. I just lost $90,000 in 3 days because I didn't cut. Right? It's scary. It's very true, but it's scary. Like, this is the type of stuff that can happen if you don't wrangle in your emotions and you don't wrangle in your issues, and you just keep letting them, in a sense, like, run you. Then whenever you do become a higher account, you're gonna basically blow it all. Like, if you have no risk management, you're just gonna blow it all. And then let's say it took you 3 months to get there, right? Let's say you got $500 to like $20,000 in 3 months. You feel so good about that, right? And then what happens is, let's say you become really arrogant or really emotional for one specific week, and you lost all of that, and you just lost 3 months of your time because of that one issue, right? So this is important. This is important. Do you guys have any other questions? That's pretty much all I had for today. I'll answer some questions now if you guys have any. But pretty much just to sum everything up really quickly, journal, 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 journal. Stop focusing about profits up first. Literally, please focus about the progress, not the profits, please. Can you go back a slide? Yeah, sure, I got you. There you go, man. Everything is going to be recorded, so you're welcome to, I'll post a link later on my YouTube. But anyway, hold on, let me answer some questions real quick. Do you offer any mentorships? You're great at explaining things in a simple manner. Wow, I truly, truly appreciate that. That's a very nice compliment. Thank you very much, first and foremost. Yes, I do offer mentorships. If you're ever curious, please just message me privately and we can chat about that. Thank you again for the compliment. Any other, what journal do you use? Also good compliment, or excuse me, good question. I apologize. Good question. It is TradeZilla. Here, I'll type it in the chat if you want to check it out. TradeZilla. There you go. Okay, anything else? What is your most successful strategy? My most successful strategy is supply and demand. Bar none, supply and demand for sure. Here, I'll link my YouTube because I think a couple of people ask. I'll actually link that YouTube video to you, which is probably my most profitable strategy. As soon as I learned supply and demand in depth, I became a lot better with my trading attributes. There you go. Okay, let me see if there's anything else real quick. 1 second. How do I message you personally? Via Telegram or Discord. My Telegram is Scrub. My Discord is this. I posted it in the chat. There you go. Let me see. Hold on. I'm just reading questions real quick. Can you give an example of a good risk reward setup? That will take a couple minutes, so I will send you a good video to watch as well, real quick. So this is about how the traditional breakout strategies don't work. And we're actually, in this video, I'm talking about how to have more efficient strategies. So there's that video. 1 second. Do you use the tape? Yes, I do use the tape. Thank you for that. Favorite trading platform is TradingView and Thinkorswim. What indicators do you use? VWAP and moving averages. That's all I use. Hold on, this is a long question, so I'm going to read it out loud. What if most of the trades we take are signals with no explanation? No blame, but pretty often because the market moves so quickly, there's no time to explain the signals. I take full responsibility for following signals. No one put a gun to my head. Okay, so that's actually a pretty good comment that you brought up. So what I would recommend, because some people do probably take signals in here, and that's perfectly okay if you're starting out, but I'll just give you a really quick tip. So I would recommend either 1, paper trading, or 2, just taking a couple days, not trading, but writing down the trade. So let's pretend XYZ signals whatever, they signal something. So jot it down on a piece of paper. Be like, okay, this person signaled this at 10:06, and then they got out at 11:04. Okay, go back at the end of the day or go back later on and literally just look at the trade and figure out what did they see, and then just try to break it down, because the sooner that you figure out what they're seeing, the sooner you're able to actually capitalize on that yourself. Because most of the setups that you see pretty much happen honestly like every single day. Like, so if you figure it out what they're seeing and kind of being mindful of that, then you're going to learn a lot quicker. So I hope that answers your question. Do you use a hard stop? No, I don't. I have a video about that as well on my YouTube. It's about why traditional hard stops do not work. But just to really quickly sum it up, is market makers can stop punch you and you don't want to use a hard stop, you want to use a mental stop. Okay, hope that answers. 1 second. Now that you're a consistent trader, how do you still learn new information to improve your trading? Awesome question. I love this question. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals that are more advanced than you. I personally talk to 6, 7, 8, and 9-figure traders on a weekly basis. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals that are more advanced than you in their process and try to sponge all the information that they provide. Uh, 1 second. Do you play 9 and 21 crosses? No, I do not. I play, usually the only moving averages I use are 200, 50, and 300. I don't use 9 and 21. How much did you originally start with? $500. Which time frame do you look at for entries? Awesome question. 2 to 4 minute for entries. When did you decide to take profits, resistance, support lines, or that's a very vague question. I don't take profits simply because it's at a resistance. There's multiple other factors. It's kind of a hard one to answer in a quick sentence, but pretty much there's tons of different factors. Just because we get to a resistance line or a support line doesn't necessarily mean it's time to take profits, because it can easily pierce right through that. Right. So it can just because it gets to a target or a line doesn't necessarily mean you just automatically take profits. You want to be like, okay, how is it reacting to this level? And then justify going from there. Be like, okay, is there volume stepping up or is there not volume stepping up? And then you pretty much go from there. Hope that answers your question. Are you going to be doing other Zoom lessons? Yes, I'll be doing 2 a week. So the next one will be on Monday. So if you have any other topics that you'd like me to talk about, just DM me on Telegram or DM me in Discord, and I'll happily answer and make a presentation about all that. Hold on, let me keep going. Do you market or limit order? I limit order. How do you back test? That's also a very large question. I did make a video about that on my YouTube. It's about journaling and back testing. Just reading more questions real quick. Is it perfectly fine to start with less than $500? Yes, you could start with 250 and still be profitable, like we talked about in the presentation. Capital means nothing. Even if you have $30,000, if you have no idea how to trade, you're not going to be profitable. Gotta start with the fundamentals first and work your way up. Because let me just do a side note real quick. The coolest thing about trading, on why I love my job, is because it's probably the only real profession other than commission-based jobs that is your salary is not capped. It's not impossible to make $1 million a year. It's not impossible to make $1 million in a week. The coolest thing about trading is it's a stepping stone game. Right? You start with a small amount of money. Maybe let me talk about it, because a lot of you guys probably in here are gamers. Right? So let's talk about, okay, I'm on level 1. I'm starting out. I'm a noob. I'm making $20 a day. Right? But then if you just keep grinding and keep grinding and keep grinding, sooner or later, you're going to be on level 20 and you're going to have more gear, more knowledge, right? And then soon, instead of making $20 a day, you're making $200 a day. And then, okay, now you're on level 99 after maybe a couple months, a couple years, however long it takes. Instead of taking $200 a day, now you're making $3,000 a day, right? And then you just keep compounding it over and over and over again. Okay, sooner or later, you're going to make 10 grand a day, or 50 grand a day. whatever the heck the case is. That's the coolest thing about trading. It's literally stepping stones to the next level, because as long as you're able to do it with one contract and you know the fundamentals, the only thing that changes is putting 2 extra zeros. Okay, instead of buying one contract, I'm buying 100. Everything else stays the same. Your criteria, your trading metrics, everything stays the same. So I hope that really sheds some light. No need to rush the process. You'll get there, I promise you. How can we message you privately? I answered that like 4 times, but I will link my Discord information inside the chat, and I'll link my Telegram. So my Telegram is Scrub, and my Discord is that. So I hope that helps. Hold on, let me answer a couple more questions and I'm going to end this. So if you have any other questions, just please answer it now, or excuse me, ask it now. What is your style of trading? I am mostly a day trader and or scalper. Usually I like to trade pretty much after 30 minutes into open. So usually I become active about 10 o'clock my time, Eastern. I have a video on VWAP on my YouTube. Here, guys, right here, hold on. Okay. I will link it one last time. There you go. If you find value in any of my videos, feel free to drop a sub. Really would appreciate that, by the way. All right, last time, any other questions? Ask them now before we end the session tonight. How many trades do you make per day? Probably 1 to 2 max. I don't overtrade. I look for really highly probable setups, and that's all I trade. I don't trade a lot of stuff. I look for 1, 2 setups, and that's pretty much it. I'm able to get my profits, and I can peace out. Can you talk about your supply and demand strategy next week? Sure, I got you. Futures, truthfully, personally, I don't trade it very often. So I wouldn't be the person to ask about that. Honestly, I'm still learning about that. So I don't feel comfortable speaking about that just yet. Any books you would recommend? The Daily Trading Coach, and anything regarding your mental aptitude, like meditation, psychology, because psychology makes up 80% of trading, charting makes up 20%. So definitely anything regarding like psychology for a book. Best strategy for small accounts is supply and demand. Do you do one-on-one mentorships? Yes, I do. I offer group mentorships and regular one-on-one mentorships. If you are interested, please feel free to message me privately. We will chat about it. Thank you again for your interest. Truly, truly means a lot. You've been trading for 3 years, correct? What tickers do you trade the most? Usually tech-based, so like Apple, Amazon, AMD. I also trade indexes such as SPY and QQQ. Do you love me? Absolutely. Where would you start if you were a new trader with no knowledge? That's an awesome question. I'm glad you asked. Honestly, I would recommend at first paper trading, maybe start YouTube for a little bit. And then once you're more comfortable, I would really, really suggest investing in a mentor. I know a lot of people usually do this, but they do it later in their career after they've lost thousands of dollars. Honestly, it's the best bet. It'll save you a lot of time. It'll save you a lot of money if you just bite the bullet, suck it up, and just be honest with yourself. Like, okay, I'd like some help. And then just try to reach out to someone more knowledgeable than you and, get some help, because it'll really, really accelerate your learning curve. And it's just worth it in the end. Hope that answers your question. If I need help, can I DM you on Discord? Yeah, absolutely. I'm always happy to answer any questions. Always happy to help a fellow trader. Feel free. My messages are always open for you. Is it good to have a daily profit goal? Apps. Oh, I love this question. This is a good question. That is really unrealistic, actually, because you're setting unrealistic expectations for yourself. You're waking up, okay, it is right in the market open. I want to make $300 today. What if the day is super choppy? What if the day is super, just not great to trade? You don't have to trade that day, but you have that unexpected, you have that unrealistic, unrealistic goal in mind, like, okay, I got to make $300 today or I'm worthless type of thing, right? Just because you didn't make your goal that day doesn't mean anything. It's perfectly fine if you don't trade that day. It's perfectly fine if you only make $50, or if you're break even, it's perfectly fine. I would recommend, instead of looking at daily targets, try instead switching your mentality to weekly targets or monthly targets. It'll really, really help with your pretty much the underlying subconscious unrealistic goal setting. Hope that answers your question. Do you trade every day? No, I trade 3 days a week. What were some mistakes you made in the beginning that you wish you would have learned earlier? Greed. Greed. I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced this as well. I'll give you a very good prime example. That's another reason why I talked about like investing in an educator, like a mentor to guide you, because the first like 6 months of my career, I was just really stubborn, and I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna keep winging it, keep winging it, keep winging it, and I wasn't doing anything. I was basically just plateauing, right? So one day I was up an extraordinarily great amount for my account, because I was on a small account at the time, and I think I was up I think it was like $800 or something like that. I was up a good amount for my account size, and I was up $800 in a short amount of time. And then that's when the greed sets in. I was like, you know what, $800 is not enough. I want more. I want my first $1,000 from a trade. So I swung it overnight. Guess what happened? Market gap down. I lost $1,100 the next day. Moral of the story: take your goddamn profit. Hope that helps. How much are your mentorships? Just message me privately. We can talk about that. Thank you again for your interest. Really means a lot. Why only 3 days a week? Because why do I have to trade 5? That's unrealistic. Because if I can make my weekly target in 3 days, what's the issue, right? So I'll give you another example real quick. So there's a guy I know, right? So what he does, he trades one setup only, with specific criteria. And if that criteria is not met, he doesn't have, all the boxes aren't checked, he won't trade. He doesn't care the time horizon. He will not trade for a week. He won't trade for a month. He'll trade one time in a month if he has to, because his criteria has not been, presented. And guess what happens when his criteria does get presented? He sizes up very heavily, and it makes up for the time loss. So like in one day, he can basically, because he's back tested this strategy multiple times, hundreds and hundreds of times, he knows it's very, very highly probable. So he sizes up aggressively. And in that one trading day in that month, he can make an entire quarter's worth of profits, because he waits for one specific setup and one specific setup only. You don't need to trade every single day. You can trade only when you feel like it emotionally, or when your criteria presents itself. So get that mentality of, oh, I got to trade 5 days a week out of your head, because you don't. That guy is, that guy's a prime example. He's truly, truly disciplined. I think in last quarter, I think he took like 6 trades, and he made 6 figures. So that's a prime example of literally you don't need to trade every single day. Any upcoming group mentorships? Awesome, cool question. Actually, I am having a group mentorship towards the end of the month. So if you're ever curious and want to know more information, feel free to message me. Thank you for your support. What is your secondary strategy besides supply and demand? Good question. I usually like to do trap and goes and first pullback breakouts. Do you trim along the way? Yes, absolutely. You want to be securing your profits along the way. How and why did you go full-time trading? This is a good question. I like this question. After I was consistently profitable for a couple of months, and I was able to make enough money that supported my lifestyle and all of my bills. And this is what I do for a living now. I've been full-time trading for I think a year and a half or so, coming on a year and a half. So it's been a fun time. I enjoy meeting a lot of people. I get to connect with really cool people around the world. So it's a very fun time. I literally just lost 80% of my account today. Please message me. We can talk about that. Let's figure it out what's going on today. Send me your entries and exits and we can review the trade together. No, I'm actually not talking about Umar for that specific example. It's another buddy of mine, but Umar does have tons of different disciplines. So I highly respect him as well. He's another very disciplined trader. Is first pullback breakouts essentially just break and retest? Yeah, pretty much. Truthfully, yep. Yipperdoodle. What did you do before work? Cool question. I was a nurse and not my cup of tea. Any other questions? Oh, actually, here's one. How did you make time to trade while working a regular job? That's a good question. You just kind of have to make the time. Honestly, you just might have to wake up earlier, might have to stay, up later, whatever the case may be. You just if you're truly passionate about this and you really want to succeed, you kind of just you got to do it. That's really it. Unfortunately, I mean, not really unfortunately, it's more like fortunately, because if you're truly passionate about it, you will make the time. There was times when I was first learning, I would be on my computer for like 12 hours. Like, I would pull all-nighters basically. I would get off work and I would just be on my computer learning for like 6 hours, 10 hours at a time, just taking a shit ton of notes. So if you're truly passionate, you will find a way. Okay, any other questions? I answered tons of questions here. So last call before I end it here, but I do have a decent bit of videos on my YouTube. If you're ever curious, I'll link it one more time. How old am I? 26. Okay, so I will end this lesson. I'll upload it to YouTube shortly. So I'll probably have this lesson uploaded sometime tonight. I really appreciate you guys for taking some time out of your day. Awesome class. We'll have another one on Monday. So like I said, if you have any topics you're struggling with or want to talk about more in depth, feel free to just message me on Discord or on Telegram. Always really happy to help. Very happy to answer any questions. And if you're ever considering, more education and possibly a mentorship, like I said, I am starting a group one towards the end of the month. So feel free to hit me up. We can talk about it. And we can talk about what you're going through. Each trader is different. So I cater to a lot of different people. One trader might be struggling with one thing, while a different trader could be struggling with an entirely different aspect. So feel free to message me if you're ever curious. Thank you again for your constant support, your constant comments and your thoughts. Really appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the trading day, and we'll have another one of these educational lessons on Monday, and then we'll have another one on Wednesday. So I'm going to probably do two educational sessions a week from now on. Anyway, thank you again, guys, and enjoy the rest of your night and stay safe.